I'm afraid to say it's not 1998 anymore. Things have changed since you decided to leave. These days it's not about collecting cans of cream corn and childish platforming. Now it's all DLC and microtransactions and you. Do you want a chicken nugget?
Sony, the company that, sadly, got me into video games as much as I am today. Sadly. Although for my age, 20 years old, you'd think I grew up with the PS3. Well, I'm a little bit of a black sheep when it comes to fitting in with my generation, and being broke enough to have grown up with the PS2 will only solidify that. Even though I didn't play every one of the best games on the console, I was more or less infatuated with the ones that I did. Starting with Crash Bandicoot: The Wrath of Cortex. Ew, yuck. I almost immediately took a liking to Crash as a game and a series, but I'll cover that later, and quickly wanted to play more games like it, that being 3D platformers. 3D platformers were still pretty new back then, basically starting with Mario 64, a game where you go around a 3D area while being free to move wherever you wanted, simultaneously learning the game's controls and slowly mastering them. A great first try at the genre, and I'd be lying if I said it wasn't still a great example of what to do today. The genre then sprawled out into branching paths, some doing a much more direct approach of the idea of a platformer in 3D, like Crash, and others doing whatever this is. After all the different gameplay styles that was made to rival Mario 64, I truly think no one did. Except one. Yeah, that brings me to the gem of a game that made you, yes, you, fall in love with the genre known as platformers. Jak and Daxter, the precursor legacy, was the first 3D platformer I personally played. And call me crazy, but I think it's also one of the best at showing just how good a genre 3D platformers can be. Taking almost every note in the book from what Mario 64 did and just evolving upon it. Yeah, believe it or not, this is one of the first times I guess aside from Spyro that really tried to do anything like Mario 64. Except in this case, like Mario 64, it has a bunch of moves that you can kind of learn and master like I mentioned earlier, and I actually kind of want to talk about those for a second. So Jak's moveset in particular has always been very fun to play around with, at least for me, because where you have something like a roll and you would expect that to be mainly used as a dodge roll, you can actually combo that in with a jump to get something of a long jump here, and I've never really seen this done in a video game, but it actually flows really well. Jak's main choice of attack is this punch that kind of propels him forward very quickly, but if you combo this in with a jump, it makes him do an uppercut. So you can hit enemies that are either high up in the air or reach platforms that are higher than your double jump, because yeah, it's higher than a double jump. Now, if we go back to the long jump I discussed earlier, if you actually jump right as the long jump is ending, it'll actually give you something of a high jump, which, yeah, yet again, is higher than a double jump. So I guess Naughty Dog learned from their PS1 days with Crash and having the main character spin a lot, and yeah, they gave Jak a spin here, and you can use it a lot like Crash does in his trilogy. But in this case, you can actually hover yourself a little bit and actually give yourself a little bit more height if you do it in the air, allowing you to reach platforms that you otherwise couldn't without it. Now, while any of these alone might not seem like much, when you use all of these moves in tandem with each other, it gives you something really beautiful to look at. And I honestly would suggest go watching some speedrunners to see what I'm talking about. So instead of the individual tightly packaged worlds that whenever you find a collectible, kick your ass home, literally leaving you on your ass, only to have to go back in to find the rest every time you find one, requiring you to basically play the same levels multiple times, Jak's world is very interconnected and well thought out. Everything you do in this game is only like miles away from your house. I mean, just look at this. Giving the whole game this wide-ass, grand adventure vibe that I actually can't get enough of. Now, I could go on for a while talking about how good of a game this is, but that isn't the title of the video, is it?
Did this nerd just yap for all that time, or is this going somewhere?
What, bro? Hey, yo, 2 go! Get his ass! Get out! Well, with the game Astro Bot doing as well as it is, like, really well, it made me think about just how long it's been since a game of this genre has been the main topic of discussion in gaming. I mean, after Sony and Xbox essentially did away with them all those years ago in favor of much better games like The Last of Us, and with every new release that's either some kind of shooter or story heavy game being covered by content creators as far back as like 2008 and being popularized in the 2010s. Now, while I'm not actually sure what happened, I feel like studios and companies felt too afraid to put a good amount of money into a real AAA 3D platformer after like a certain point. And honestly, man, rightly so. And about the 6th generation of consoles, gamers didn't want the childish kitty diaper baby games anymore, leaving the binky sucking fans of those games like myself feeling somewhat isolated, at least when it comes to platformers, because I love me some COD, Fortnite, Red Dead, Elden Ring, Street Fighter 6, and the new God of War. Point is, even though I haven't ever touched the game, Astro Bot is making me the happiest I've been in a long time when it comes to gaming. Now, I know what the fans think about the game. They fucking love it, and rightfully so. It's something that's been missing from gaming for far too long. With the live service schlock we've been getting like Destiny, Overwatch, Fortnite, Apex Legends, and with Sony, Concord. It's like, I don't know, man. It's just kind of cool to see a game that's just being made with the intent to be pure fun through and through. You know, no DLCs, no game passes, no roadmaps, no empty promises for a game that you'll spend $60 on only for that to not be delivered on and it's canceled and deleted off of your PlayStation. Yeah, that really happened. You just pay $60 and boom, you have a fully packaged Game of the Year contender. I mean, this shouldn't be crazy, but if we're actually sitting here and looking at our games catalog today, it kind of is. And don't misunderstand, I love some of the live service competitive schlock, and in fact, I play quite a few of them, but that doesn't mean that I don't think there shouldn't be a space for brilliant showings of artistic ability like with Jak, or in this case, Astro Bot. So yeah, man, I love Astro Bot, not really because I played it yet, but because it's the one game in a long time that I feel can truly sway these soulless ass companies into just letting their developers make art with fun and interesting ideas. Or in short, I love Astro Bot because I want to see platformers come back, man. I mean, it's either that or I just really like the Jak and Daxter costume that's in the game.